Howdy there, Internet people. This one's going to be a little bit different than my previous videos. This is a companion video that's made for a blog post on September the 11th, 2023, and it's mainly to go along with uh, an investigation of Nextdoor's moderation system, a very interesting topic, I'm sure, to all of you. Nextdoor being the online platform, kind of like the Facebook of neighborhoods. And I'm also recording this late at night in my house. Everyone's asleep, so gotta keep it a little bit mellow. So, as we bike around Albuquerque, I'm gonna make my way from my neighborhood to downtown and then eventually towards Albuquerque Fasteners and Bolts, which it's a pretty good ride. Along the way, I stop at HomeWise, but I'm not going to be commenting too heavily on what's happening on the bike ride. That'll just be a fun little backdrop while I talk, probably at least for a good number of minutes about the blog post that inspired this video commentary. So Nextdoor has a moderation system like so many platforms on the internet. It involves a combination of sort of corporate level moderation, so it seems, as well as um, a review team that Nextdoor assigns in a somewhat chaotic fashion. So Nextdoor will invite randomly, according to their documentation, users to participate. And what participation in the review team looks like is as a review team member, you get to see posts that are flagged and then vote as to whether or not they should have been flagged or if they should be reinstated. And that can also involve appeals. I might have some of the details wrong, but that's the gist of it. I've been interested in this for quite some time because, as some of you may know who are coming from the Nextdoor world, it can be a very useful tool, but it can also be a place where there's a lot of hatred and fear and doxing and all sorts of nasty internet things happening. So, moderation, I think, is an important component, and it's hard to understand. So, my most recent interaction with the moderation system has been when I posted a reply to a thread that was talking about how Nextdoor's for sale section, the classified section, um, was just out of whack, and the person who posted the original poster was complaining that things are overpriced and people don't understand the real value of items. It just so happened that I had a futon that I wanted to post. So what I did is I put a link to my futon there and I said, offer me something fair. And then I put a cheeky little joke in there about I don't need to make very much money because my drug habit isn't that expensive. I didn't just invent that comment out of thin air. It was a little bit in response to another commenter saying people are overcharging in the classified section because they have expensive drug habits to maintain. Maybe. Um, I do not, and I thought it was a funny comment. So I, if I'm looking for something that might have annoyed someone, that's all I can think of. Nonetheless, what happened is my comment was flagged. And what happens, and I had not known this, is that when your comment is flagged, you get a notification from Nextdoor, and then you get a brief explanation about which kind of public community guideline you may have violated. In my case, I was told that I violated a public shaming policy. And after having read through the public shaming article, I didn't see how I did violate that, so I submitted an appeal and I asked for more information. Roughly 7 days after submitting the appeal, I received the notification saying your appeal has been rejected, so my comment remained hidden. And in fact, the entire thread that I had posted in seems to have just disappeared, whether it was deleted or whether it was flagged in the moderation system. It's hard to know. I'm not sure. Coincidentally, this does come shortly after I had engaged in a discussion, not a flame war, I would say, and not with vitriol, but a discussion in a, I believed, civil manner, where one user had posted a picture of a truck with a license plate and then a caption. stating that the person driving this truck was behaving in an unsafe way and had assaulted him in his neighborhood, and a police report was filed. And that user who posted that, the original post was flagged for violating some policy. Um, and so the user reposted and now is complaining about the moderation system in addition to the dangerous driver. So trying to learn about the moderation system, I started asking questions, trying to understand what kind of messages he had received from Nextdoor, what interaction with the moderation system he had had. And at one point, I had posted a suggestion that perhaps he had violated a public shaming guideline, and that it may have been why Nextdoor moderators had flagged his post or had upheld the flagging of his post. Shortly thereafter, his post just disappeared. All of his posts, seeming, as far as I can tell, have disappeared. Um, and then shortly after they disappeared, my post was also flagged for public shaming. Yeah, no, I think there's a connection, but I don't really know who or why the connection exists. Pretty strange, but you know, I'll just call it a coincidence at this point. I would be interested to know more, but I'm not going to hold my breath on actually learning anything there. The details of this are explored in my blog post, so I'll link to that in the description. Check it out if you didn't come here already from the blog post. What else do I have to say about moderation? Um, I have heard from one member on the review team. Anyone who I see that has a little tag on their profile that says review team member, I tend to try to reach out to them and ask, can you help explain to me how the moderation system works? I've read some of the public documentation, but I'd like to get some more anecdotes from people who have first-hand experience. I've received only one response, and it was helpful. It really just kind of reinforced what I read publicly and also in the public documentation from Nextdoor. And it also, um, in this reviewer's response, he mentioned that he wasn't sure why he was invited to the review team. He didn't know how to invite others to the review team. Um, but it just seemed like somehow he was invited. And now that correlates with Nextdoor's documentation that says, based on Nextdoor's algorithm, essentially as needed, they will find people who are active in posting, haven't had too many flagged posts, and maybe some other secret parameters, and then invite those people. And it seems like there's a hierarchy. There's a lead, and then there are review team members. I'm not really sure how the powers exist. Um, I do believe that there is a way to see who the neighborhood leaders are and who's on the review team. Oh, that's a good thing. I'll have to update the blog and put those in there. I just thought of that right now. Anyhow, that probably brings us to the end of really dedicated talk about the Nextdoor moderation system. So if you're not interested in watching any more shaky video, um, you can just sign off now and go read the blog post. No more juicy details in this video. But if you're intrigued, you can see a little bit of Albuquerque from the bicycle. I think some interesting things are here to come. I'm now on Silver Avenue. This is one of the upgrades, I would say, in Nob Hill. Also discussed on Nextdoor, certainly, because of changes to parking. As you can see, there's no center yellow line, which I think really does a lot of good in terms of keeping traffic down. That level of confusion that it introduces really helps everyone to be on a little bit of extra alert. And so, as a cyclist or a biker, or whatever you want to call me, I'm not wearing spandex, so I'm not sure what category I get put into. I tend to take up the lane, and if someone's right behind me, I'll move over and let them pass because traffic's just not that high on this low speed road. It's a pretty nice setup, I think, compared to so many other streets in Albuquerque. This one is really a winner. There's also some decent commercial um, and food opportunities, or man, not opportunities. There's some good little restaurants and cafes. That's what I'm trying to say. So I come over here pretty often. Now we're coming up to the crossing with, I forget what street this is, but there's a little safety zone in the middle, and you can usually just skirt on through pretty easily. Uh, Now I'll continue along Silver until I get down to basically Presbyterian Hospital. Then I'll go to the left and take lead down to the destination, which I'm going towards um, the HomeWise office. HomeWise is a local nonprofit. They do work with trying to help people who are trying to get into homes and who otherwise might be unable to um, get into a home without some assistance on down payments or qualifying for mortgages, things like that. I'm not trying to qualify for a mortgage. I'm lucky enough that I already have a bunch of debt as a mortgage. However, I am working to find out more about how abandoned and condemned homes in my neighborhood, Fair West, um, can be rehabilitated and rebuilt. And part of the answer might be involving nonprofits like HomeWise, so that once we do have the homes in better condition, we can find people to move into those homes with the assistance of organizations like HomeWise. So I'm going to get some more information. Don't have a meeting scheduled, but I am making contacts. If you want to learn more about this kind of project, I'm starting to assemble the information in a more uh, concise and real way. That'll be on where the website where my blog is. There's a link at the top that's currently disabled, but I'm building content for it now. That's under the title Strengthen Fair West. It's not just about Fair West, but Fair West is really where I plan to implement this model. And I'm hoping that it is useful for other neighborhoods as well throughout Albuquerque, because as I'm sure listeners of this video will um, empathize, so many neighborhoods have empty or abandoned and condemned homes, which even if someone is squatting there, it's not a good situation. It's not really serving the needs of the people who are surrounding that house, nor the people who are in the house very well. So how can we improve that situation? And when you're talking about housing and you're talking about homelessness and you're talking about potentially um, breaking the law, a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions, as do I. Um, I definitely do not agree with a lot of the um, solutions, if you will, that are proposed on Nextdoor, but I do understand a lot of the grievances and a lot of the fear and a lot of the concern. So, Strength in Fair West is, I think, going to offer, this is the goal, a lot of answers to what can be done to address housing and what impact I hope that can have on crime, on safety, on building a stronger community, and on reducing some of the negative impacts of housing being so expensive. The, it cascades from there. It's a huge discussion, not one that I'm going to go into in great depth in this video, but one that I will be discussing in very deep depth through my website. So stay tuned. Also, I sprinkle little bits of information in the videos that I post, and this blog is often concerned with how I'm going about gathering information, interacting with other community members, nonprofits, businesses, etc. So this is a real effort, and the more people who pay attention and give me feedback and offer me insights, the better. A lot of what I do is driven based on comments that I receive online and referrals after I meet with people who initially suggested things online. I meet them in a coffee shop, we have a good discussion, and that sparks more ideas. But I'm not just meeting people to expand my social network, I am trying to put my ideas into action. So if that makes sense to you or intrigues you, stick along for the ride and continue to watch these videos and look at the blog. Anyhow, back to the actual bicycling. This is a nice stretch of silver. It's got this awesome median in the middle with a bunch of trees. low traffic. It's it's one of my favorites. I used to work at Presbyterian downtown, and when I did, I'd ride my bike this way quite often. And it was always a great little commute, way nicer than having to drive my car. Um, Even though I would drive from time to time, it would just remind me how much I missed riding the bike. It was such a pleasure. So I could cut through into the Presbyterian parking lot, but I think I'm just gonna get get onto the higher speed roadway that is lead coming up here at the next stop sign. Once I get on there, I really gotta quit my daydreaming. It's time to pay attention because I'll be moving fast, traffic's moving fast. Uh, any bits of debris or uh, branches that are sticking down need to be reacted to quickly. So speed limit's 30, but as we all know, uh, that's that's not exactly honored all the time. I know along some of the roads now there are speed cameras, um, and so perhaps the situation is changing with regards to how egregious people speed on it. But I basically treat this road as a cyclist as very dangerous. So I'm on there, constantly looking around, and coming up to the overpass with I-40. Always a point of concern as cars are turning to the right. And just want to make sure nobody's getting confused by what I'm doing. Cool. The overpass is this is a pretty decent way to go uh, under the highway, but whenever you go into the highway as a cyclist, this seems to be where a lot of trash and debris collects in the gutter. Basically, I'm riding in the gutter, and so I've got to be careful to make sure I don't have anything slice open my tires. Made it through. Very nice. Nobody's turning in front of me. And now the real fun begins. I have a little bit more breathing room. I can go off a little bit more to the shoulder, and it's downhill enough that I don't go as fast as cars, but I'm probably going, you know, 15 to 20 miles an hour, and I'm pretty slow. I just need to look out for people who are going to make a right turn onto lead and may potentially accidentally not see me. Coming up here, again, making sure I don't surprise anyone who's trying to turn right without a blinker. And we're good. The wind in my hair, very nice. Um, if I weren't so close to car traffic, this would be a really awesome ride. And even such, it's okay. But as we're all quite familiar, the number of people on cell phones and just kind of distracted by who knows what legitimate or illegitimate purposes or reasons. You just got to be very heads up here, especially here when I have to slide off to the left and cars might need to go to the right to turn. But I got to get over Broadway somehow, and man, Broadway is a pain to cross. So here I am, just twiddling my fingers, looking at the sky. It's nice to see some clouds. Albuquerque actually got some rain today. Monsoon's finally rode in. Just take a quick little moment here to think, where am I going? So I'll go over the railroads here on this bit of an overpass, and then very quickly thereafter, I'll be in the downtown area now. I want to take a left onto 2nd Street. So, all right, I've got my little game plan, looking around. I really don't mind hanging out at a traffic light from time to time, but onward we go. I don't take this route very often, so I'm not sure how this shoulder is. It's not that bad. I've got a bit of a buffer and then the bike lane. I am surprised that the city doesn't take these Jersey barriers and just move them over so that they're closer to the cars and allow me to have the protection as a biker of being on the other side of these Jersey walls. That would afford a lot of protection and actually prevent a lot of the trash that piles up from being right under my tires. And if it was in the car's way, they might actually do something about it. So that's my little suggestion. Although you will see in the video at one point, there's somebody, there was a bike, and somebody was taking a little siesta there on the sidewalk. So if I was as a walker, biker to be in the sidewalked area. That would have been a interesting little scenario to pass by. I don't think he was sleeping. It looked like he was on his cell phone. Anyhow, coming up, yeah, that's always a cool building off to the left. I don't know what that is. I always mean to look it up, but if you know what it is, save me a Google search and just leave a comment. Tell me what it is, and man, it's interesting. On to Second Street. I don't have far to go to find the HomeWise headquarters. 500 Second Street, I believe, south. Uh, Here in the city, it feels a bit safer. Traffic has to go so slow that really I'm not very much in the way. Um, well, at least that's my bicyclist's brain opinion. And already, yep, that's HomeWise, so I'll just have to make my way into the parking lot. And then I'm not going to record any video inside. That wouldn't be very polite, so just find somewhere to park my little bicycle. And they've obviously put some work into this. It's a nice looking building. These guys must have some money. So hopefully they'll also have good information to give me. And poof, through the magic of the internet and video editing, I have the information I need. Um, but I'll probably just stare off into the distance for a couple minutes because what you can't see is that I'm playing on my cell phone right now prior to getting on my bike, trying to figure out directions as to how I get to this fastener store so I can repair my dining room chair and be the hero on the home front. It's about 2.5 miles north of here, not too far, but the thing that concerns me is Second Street really becomes kind of a high-speed thoroughfare after you get out of the downtown area. So I need to think about how to circumvent my exposure. I really do not want to be on high-speed traffic roads with no bike lane. Um, so to be determined. I'm gonna generally head north. And you can't see it now, but you'll see it in just a little bit. The raindrops are gonna start falling. It's a rare glimpse of Albuquerque in the rain. Downtown's always fun with the artwork too. Just coming around here, seeing all the different murals on the sides of buildings and all the, um, I don't know if they're sanctioned or not, but man, it's cool to see some color on otherwise kind of bland cinder block, painted cinder block. I got a bike lane. That's cool. I'm not downtown a lot. I think that apartment, those apartments off to the left are maybe that's part of a recent HomeWise development project. Can't quite remember. Anyhow, making my way north. Do more murals. I used to work up here on First and Mountain, but generally I only come down here for special occasions. The box theater, that's the improv area. I have fond memories of that. Haven't been very often, but I think I'll go back in the future. Do. For anybody who's not familiar with biking and the roads, you may see me skirt through red lights just like that. And I hope I'm not offending anyone gravely, but I'll give you a brief justification. So, the law, as far as I understand, is that if you're riding a bike, you should not be on the sidewalk in the city of Albuquerque. You should be in the street, and you are to abide by the same rules as the cars. That's nice in theory, but obviously it doesn't work that way in practice. So, as a bicycle, I cannot go as fast, but I'm also very small. Um, so, what ends up happening is that I do bike in the street most of the time, and I do stop at lights when there is cross traffic. Um, However, although I try to abide by the rules, cars and bikes just need different rules, and the law is out of sync with reality. So, if I were a car traveling somewhat slowly, people would not pass me on a single lane. But I'm a bike and I'm traveling slowly, so people just squeeze on by. And that's I understand that. I'm not saying that necessarily needs to change. But what that shows is that the rules do not apply uniformly to cars and bikes. If I stop at a red light and there is no traffic, and I can confirm that, I will go through. When it comes down to it, when I'm in the street, I am vulnerable. And so I aim to be out of the street as quickly as possible. This, I believe, is the MLK ramp. I'm looking, nobody's coming, it's one way. I'm getting out of the intersection, I'm moving forward. Um, you know, if that offends people, I really don't mean it to. If you think I'm wrong and want to have a discussion with me about it, that's fine. You can send me a message. Pretty accessible, and I'm happy to sit down, have a probably a pretty interesting conversation. I do not feel 100% confident that I'm always right, but I feel pretty confident. I've been biking for many years, and I've seen a lot of accidents. I've been involved in a couple. Um, I don't think any of them were my fault, aside from the one where I was trying to brake and my brake cable broke and I slammed into the back of a car. That one was pretty embarrassing and painful. Luckily, no hospital visit. Anyhow, here I'm breaking the law again, scofflawing my way up the sidewalk. The intention is now that Second Street is becoming more and more crowded, I am going to make use of some of the walker slash pedestrian um, features, and that is the crosswalk. Here I am using the crosswalk. I verified that no one's going to turn into me in the street for a minute. Oh no, here come the raindrops. You'll see them in the video shortly. I'm making my way over to 4th Street because I believe that's going to be a much easier route to take, a much safer route on the bike. Sorry, you're going to have a little bit of a blur from the raindrops here, so yeah, if you're it's a little bit of a trip. So um, we'll see how if the wind maybe swipes that away over time. But so back on the sidewalk, although I want to get back in the street because as many people know from walking on sidewalks and maybe riding bikes, it's constantly up and down and obstacles. It's a pain in the butt. So riding in the street, although more dangerous, is way more efficient if you're just trying to put in the pedal strokes and make forward progress. Wow, it's hard not to get distracted by that big glob of water. Hopefully, that doesn't stick around forever because it's kind of ruining my ability to see anything here. This is my GoPro's first venture into water, and um, I'm kind of, as I'm riding the bike, I was thinking to myself, uh-oh, what if I removed one of the doors on the side of the GoPro? So it's supposed to be waterproof, but I removed a little door so that I could have easier access to the recharging ports. And now I'm wondering, oh no, am I about to fry this thing? But if you're considering a GoPro, this is a Hero 5, pretty old at this point, but it survived a light rain shower, so I was pretty happy with it. So 4th Street's doing pretty well for me. Just looking around. Um, some of the raindrops are falling away. That's good. Green light, very nice. As you might be able to tell, I'm on the shoulder, but basically where the cars are parked. But I do try to make room so that people can pass me. I do understand that I'm moving slower. And so if you see a cyclist and they're not hugging the right side near cars like this, part of the issue may be that there's a big danger with somebody opening their car door as you're riding your bike past at 10 to 20 miles an hour and injuring yourself, injuring them, and just having a real bad time. So I tend to give myself some extra space when I'm riding past parked cars because you never know who's going to open those doors. And unfortunately, sometimes people just don't understand, honk, get mad, just don't understand. But at least for me, can't speak for all cyclists, just like drivers can't speak for all other drivers. I come in peace. I'm just trying to get to the hardware store. It's wet, and so I need to be careful. My brakes are behaving a little bit differently, but they're still working. Onward I go. I don't come up this way very often. Um, and I'm also not really sure how far north to go, so I'm gonna just take a little detour here so that I can stop with outside of traffic and figure out where the heck am I going. Um, Hopefully you won't be able to see my cell phone because that would be a little concerning. I don't want to give away too much private information. So, cell phone's probably out. What I came to find out is that this store is just a little bit north of the I-40. So I need to go under I-40 and then get to Claremont Street, I believe. So 2nd and Claremont. There's my little phone. I got the directions, so back to 4th Street we go. That seems to be the best route. So I'm on the right path. As you can see, biking around, you know, not always the easiest. I also do not wear headphones. I feel like that's a huge loss of sensory input and a real danger. So if I have GPS on, I don't have headphones in. Maybe I should get one of those little earbuds, just one, so I can still hear. But I think I'd be too tempted to just listen to music and have a good time. And it's just not that safe. Maybe if I was on a bike only trail. Certain rides, yes, but a ride like this, I'm just not going to do it. All sorts of interesting little shops here. Really is curious to see the difference between like the strip malls where I live near Lomas and San Mateo, and then the tiny collections of storefronts right at the edge of sidewalks and closer to downtown. I'm certainly more a fan of the the style down here, where it's a little bit mixed between residential and commercial use. And I would like to see it change to some of the zoning where I live. I think the homogeneous nature of just swaths of residential is actually causing a lot of issues here, not just in Albuquerque, but in the U.S. in general. You know, it's hard to walk to a grocery store. And there's a reason for that. Some of that is the fact that we can't put zoning together. But I'll go on a diatribe about that some other time. Not quite prepared. I am coming up to an overpass here. So let's see how this goes. Going underneath 40 is sometimes um, a little bit, I don't know, sketchy might be the word, but we shall see. Um, Rain is starting to let up. I'm just riding around in a short sleeve shirt. Feels pretty good. Once again, just trying to keep my situational awareness and get in the side of the road. I tried to make it so that I'm looking around once again on the overpass. At some point I hit a rock around here. Boom, that's the rock. My rear wheel really took a shot. Um, I thought I had really looked around after that, but basically my rear wheel just slammed into a rock, and I was a little bit distracted with the people on the sidewalk, the cars passing close, and so didn't do a good job of avoiding that. As you can see now, this road is not feeling super friendly. There's not much of a bike lane. Cars are passing me pretty quickly. Time to get my car washed, or my bike washed. So turn in here real quick. Just kidding. Just trying to cut through the parking lot in an effort to avoid being on 4th Street now, because that was terrible. That's just as bad as what I believe 2nd Street is, which is very hostile to pedestrians, bikers, and walkers. So time to find an alternative. I didn't know it at the time, but I did find, I believe, 3rd Street at this point becomes two-way. And so I'm I kind of navigated through this big box store parking lot with all of its annoying speed bumps and made my way over to 3rd Street after some fun intersection navigation. So that'll give me a good chance to talk about some of the challenges that pedestrians face that I'll see posts on Nextdoor from time to time that just astound me in terms of the lack of understanding as to what people have to do just to remain safe when trying to navigate um, these high speed so-called streets, but they're really more like highways that run through the city. And even with an intersection that has a stop sign and a crosswalk and all that jazz, it's really not as simple as just just cross. Oh, you have the signal, go for it. As we all know, people run lights. This guy's creeping forward. Can't see it, but I'm gesturing over. Like, come on, man, don't don't cut, don't run into me. But what are you gonna do? So here we're coming up to the intersection. I had stopped a moment ago and looked at my phone, and I made sure no one was going to turn coming across. It's not safe to be in the road here, as you can see from this kind of traffic. It's, again, this is 3 lanes of high-speed traffic. This is pretty classic Americana. Cars dominate, and everything else needs to get out of the way. So I'm getting out of the way mostly. I hit the crosswalk button, but of course everyone's got places to go. I'm not trying to uh, instigate, so I keep an eye. I look over at the drivers of cars who have their blinkers on to turn right, making sure they see me. I see them. You know, a little bit of eye contact goes a long way, and so I do feel pretty confident that they're going to let me cross here in a moment without turning in front of me. And confirm one more time, wait for the green arrow on the other side to go away, and then I will make my traverse. Yep, yep, yep. Across we go. Make sure that these guys aren't turning right too. Nope. Awesome. Do a little bit of a thin maneuver on the sidewalk. Once again, it's supposedly a bike route, but it's a pretty shitty bike route. So I'm not gonna honor the fact that they call it a bike route. Um, but I am going to take this turn, and I'm pretty sure I can finish my travel by making my way up some of the inroads on 3rd Street. So this is just a little neighborhood that offers me safe passage. One thing that biking around Albuquerque does is, if you don't live down here, then there's a little chance that you would actually go through this neighborhood unless you knew somebody. I don't think I've ever been here. Um, yeah, not bad. Not like Northeast Heights mansions, but a bunch of nice houses, people live in, places for kids to play, and the lawn, not beautiful, but you know, a lot better than just empty homes. So yeah, interesting to see. Coming up close to my left-hand turn, not entirely sure when it's coming. Doo-doo-doo. A lot of cars parked on the street for sure, which can be a bit confusing. So I look around a lot, making sure nobody's about to pull out, open doors, trying to pass from behind, things like that. Definitely, um, again, nice to have no headphones in so that I can hear tire noise and have that situational awareness. I think this is my turn. And then, I guess I'll leave this in. You will see in just a minute that I misunderstood where the hardware store is. And so I go across 2nd to the wrong side and then have to cut back again. Ugh, I don't know why I have to make life so hard. So here I am getting onto the sidewalk, and in reality, the hardware store is right in front of me. But what do? I make the decision to cross the road. Well, I also bump my head into the bushes. But yeah, I'll just give you a little view of what it's like to cross 2nd. So I go over into the turn lane. I've got my opportunity. Apparently there was a car coming too fast for me, so I waited. And then I turn and I think to myself, great, Now I'm on the other side. Where's the hardware store? And that's when I looked across the street and said to myself, oh, it's over there. Damn it. Live and learn. So I hung out for a moment. I decided, okay, best thing to do here on the sidewalk is to just get off my bike, run across, hang out on the median, and then run across the street and park my bike outside the hardware store. That's the uh, that's the most expedient solution to this. So I'm not actually riding right now. I'm just walking in my wet flip-flops, trying not to slip. And this median affords me a little bit of protection. So many nice trees. Across we go. All right. Finally, made it to the promised land. Albuquerque. What is this called? Bolt and Fastener. It's been around since the 70s, I guess. And they had exactly what I needed. So if you need bolts and fasteners, that's the place to go. Thanks for watching. Read the blog post. See you next time.